In the turbulent and storied history of the Middle East, one chapter stands out. A story of promises made and broken, lands gained and lost. This is the story of the Israel-Palestine conflict, where two people, in their quest for a homeland, have shaped the world. In case you guys are wondering why I'm late to this topic, just know that I had been researching on this for the past 2 months, and every single piece of information you see in this video was fact-checked multiple times. In the year 1916, World War I was in full swing, and the 600-year-old Ottoman Empire teetered on the brink of collapse. It was a time of great change and geopolitical upheaval. Amidst the chaos of war, the British and the Arabs forged an alliance with a promise. The British pledged to grant the Arabs land in exchange for their support against the Ottoman. The British found success in their endeavor, but as they claimed victory, the Arabs stepped forward, demanding the land they were promised. But unfortunately, around the same time, the British and the French were dividing the world into two different pieces, leading to the infamous Sykes-Picot Agreement. The British acquired Palestine, Jordan, and Iraq, while the French laid claim to South Turkey, North Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. The Arabs soon learned about this treaty and they felt betrayed and deluded. Meanwhile, in Europe, the Zionist movement was gaining momentum. Their vision was to facilitate mass Jewish migration to Palestine, laying claim to the land. Surprisingly, the Palestinian people initially liked the idea. In 1917, a man with no rights declared Israel as a separate state from Palestine, and the Palestinian people accepted it, at least initially. As the years passed, the Jewish people in Palestine grew rapidly from less than 10% to 27% between 1922 and 1935, causing increasing concerns among the Palestinians. This is when the Palestinians stopped liking it. I had to make the setup a little more darker cause the story does get dark. Faced with growing tensions, the British proposed a partition of Palestine, suggesting the forced removal of Arabs from their own land. It was their attempt to resolve what they called the issue. This marked the first time in history when Palestinians rose up, rebelling against British rules. Their revolts were met with brutal suppression, resulting in the deaths of thousands of Palestinians. By now, the British had realized that they had made a grave mistake. So in 1947, they washed their hands off of this responsibility, handing the Palestine issue into the hands of the United Nations. And unfortunately, the UN then divided Palestine into two different pieces, Israel and Palestine. But as you can see, the map back then looked nothing like it does today, and there's a reason for that. But we will get onto that later on in the video. Keep in mind, back then the Jewish population was less than 30% in Palestine, but they were given 55% of the land. They were given more land than the majority of the people living there. This imbalance sparked outrage among the Palestinians, and they obviously rejected the proposal. And on the other hand, the Zionists campaigned for even more land. And by 1948, they started capturing Palestinian villages and cities, aiming to secure as much territory as possible before the UN could make changes to the map. The day the British left, the Zionists began their campaign of expansion. Overnight, millions of Palestinian people lost their homeland. But on the other hand, Israel's journey wasn't easy as well, cause Arab nations were after it. If you mess with an Arab person, the Arabs will come for you. That's Arab Brotherhood. The Arab-Israel wars of, wait for it, 1948, 1956, 1967 and 1973 became defining moments. But every single time, Israel became victorious because of their deep pockets. I think you guys can understand what I mean with deep pockets. The Palestine refugee crisis grew as millions were displaced, leading the establishment of refugee camps across the Middle East. Palestinians longing for the right of return struggled to reclaim their lost homes and lands. In 1993, the Oslo Accords provided a glimmer of hope for peace as the Palestinian Liberation Organization recognized Israel's right to exist, which soon turned out to be a big mistake. However, the optimism surrounding the Oslo Accords soon faded as violence erupted within the Second Intifada in 2000, leading to a sharp increase in tensions. Then Israel constructed the West Bank, often referred to as the separation wall. They say that it's for security. First of all, this doesn't look like security to me because you literally put the barriers on their homeland. And secondly, this security wasn't able to help you when you needed it. Numerous peace efforts and negotiations have taken place over the years, including the Annapolis Conference in 2007 and ongoing attempts to find a two-state solution. Yet, violence and tensions continue to plague the region, with periodic conflicts and wars between Israel and various Palestinian groups. International efforts to broker peace, such as the United Nations and the United States, the European Union, and neighboring Arab countries have played a crucial role in mediating the conflict, but a comprehensive resolution remains elusive. As of now, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict persists, with both sides holding on to their respective narratives and seeking a path towards a just and lasting peace. Today's episode really saddened me, but thank you to these people for subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.